Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
Oh, dude, you look sweet. Yeah, you got a big beard, dude.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. Thrown out by Big Tony.
We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Me and my best friend, Marky Worthington.
No, whatever it is.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is episode 122. Return guest on the show. Third time you've ever been on the show. It's Chris Marlton.
Hello, Mark. How are we doing?
Good. And I say third time now. Second time that you've been in the studio, but for listeners of the show, the last episode was a callback episode to the Three Blind Men episode that we did. With
the aficionados who realise the back room at the basement.
That's right.
Me, Taylor and Nick. 2019? Early 2019, January?
Early 2020. And
oh, was that early?
Yeah,
that
it
late,
was so early in 2020 that you guys were talking about all the upcoming gigs you had planned for the year. And in hindsight, it's a very sad plug at the end of the episode.
We still, I think, we still did the
Melbourne?
Gig, we did the gig at Smith's.
Oh, yeah.
We did the Adelaide Fringe.
Yeah.
We didn't do Melbourne. Melbourne was
Melbourne.
cancelled that year. Canberra Comedy Festival was cancelled that year.
Yep.
Sydney, we didn't even apply for.
Yeah.
Townsville, we didn't apply for. Brisbane didn't apply for. Darwin didn't apply for. Perth didn't apply for. The Hawaiian Comedy Festival didn't apply for. LA Laugh Fest didn't do.
Damn.
New York, we didn't get to the Laugh Garage.
Montreal?
We did Montreal.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we were with the headliners at the Just for Laughs, which is cancelled now.
Oh.
Yeah. It made some untoward comment. No, it's just been shut down. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's
Have you heard?
No.
There's no more Just for Laughs in Montreal, although it'll probably get saved and rebranded, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but I think
that makes sense.
The funding and the whole thing for that was that I think, and I'm completely talking out of my ass here, is that it was designed as a showcase for industry to come along and look at comedians and test them all out, see them next to each other, and then hire them. And that process died years ago, but the show kept going, and I think it was running either at a loss or not financially beneficial to, quote unquote, the shareholders.
Yep.
And I mean, that's why I do everything I do. I know you're doing this podcast for the shareholders.
Shout out to the shareholders. Thank you.
They always insist.
Be corporate.
Every 5 minutes they need to
be reminded how.
Be reminded. They're like every 3 months we scrape the cream off the top.
Yeah, we basically just we're predominantly our listenership is usually playing out of a dashboard in a high-end supercar or hypercar, and
an empty supercar. We have 50 empty supercars lined up over the coast, overlooking the ocean.
Yeah, super vaccinated hypercars.
No spoilers.
Okay. I actually, that is a segue into my only prepared question.
Yes.
For you.
I'm glad
I did a quick. If
you prepared two, we wouldn't have time to.
No, we're hard pressed with one.
Yes.
I did do a quick ask.
Do we want to do more of an introduction about who I am for people who aren't?
Yeah, sure. That I like how you are managing my podcast better than I am.
Well, I just realised that people who are listening,
so
one or two of the 30,000, 40,000 people listening may not know my voice just immediately and say, I know who that is, because it's a little bit deep. My name is Chris Marlton. I'm a Canberra comedian. I'm a Sagittarius. I was born in December 1981. I'm 6'2", 6'2" inches tall in my stockinged feet, to quote Stephen Fry. That means no shoes but socks, which adds nothing to the height, but adds a little bit of slipperiness when you're on tiles.
Sure. It also adds a little comfort, which gives you the confidence to stand taller.
Yes, unless it's too hot and then it's uncomfortable and you've got sweaty toes and you're like, I can't wait to get these socks off. I'm at the beach, I'm standing in sand wearing socks. Maybe the worst feeling in the world. Yeah. Aside from real bad feelings.
Yeah, aside from those. Yeah, they're excluded, but aside from that.
Yeah, take out all the existential stuff and also physical pain, and then it's just a little bit uncomfortable.
So, that's everything we need to know about the intro of Chris Marlton.
Yeah, just a local comedian that run a bunch of gigs around town.
Hey, on top of that though, you've also put out probably more specials than out of everyone in Canberra comedy scene.
Yeah, I feel you've heard of Garth Marenghi. You know Garth Marenghi, the comedy character by Matthew Holness from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Oh, you'd love it. It's a kind of retro. It's a fake show from the 80s.
Yep.
That came out as a comedy show in the 2000s, made by Matthew Holness and Richard Ayoade, and Matt Berry's in it as well.
Okay.
And God, I feel bad not remembering the woman's name out of it because I'm such a misogynist. I feel bad, I really do, because I know her stuff quite well. Anyway, Alice. It's not. Anyway. Her name's Alice, someone, and she's in a lot of stuff. She's in the IT Crowd episode where Roy has shit on his forehead. And she's made a film called Prevenge, and she's made a film about hitchhiking or something like that. It's incredible. Anyway, she's great. I don't know why I can't remember her last name.
Yeah.
I'm having a bit of a brain freeze. Anyway, this show...
You're doing well at remembering a bunch of other facts, which kind of make up.
Well, no, it comes into that. It comes into this. It comes into it.
Is that a memory technique? You're like, if I think of all the things I do know, maybe the thing that I don't remember. Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay. I was just saying if you're like thropdomizing yourself.
No. That's a different person. Anyway, that character, Garth Marenghi, is kind of like a Stephen King ripoff, where he's like a horror author, and he says, I'm one of the few authors who's written more books than he's read.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like that about my specials. Like,
right.
I keep filming them and no one's watching them. I've got no views, 0 views. I've got 40,000 specials and more specials than views.
Yeah.
Of my specials.
Actually, probably, but you're being modest. You do quite well for the reach. You know, when you look at like subscribers versus views, I think your ratio's a lot better than you'd expect.
Oh, look, it could be worse.
Yeah.
But it's not great. It's not where I want it to be.
I don't think it really shows the work that you like. It's not a direct reflection of the work that you put into them.
I would hate if it was. I would hate if they're like, look, this is all you get because this is the standard you are at.
Yeah.
No, you're speaking about, I put out 3 specials on YouTube. Yep. The last one came out Monday a week ago, which was early.
So, yeah, we've just got heaps of these.
Oh, we've got a bunch of cards.
Yeah,
a bunch of cards and QR codes. If you go to my Linktree or my Instagram, you can see, or my YouTube, you can see my latest special, Moonlight Pilot, came out a week or 2 ago. It's doing okay, numbers-wise. It could do a lot better. So, everyone listening to this, jump on YouTube.
Yeah, we do.
Have a fresh watch.
We actually do plugs every 5 minutes, as well as shout out to the
shareholders.
Shareholders.
Yeah.
So it's good. And if you're here from Chris's YouTube and it's done a reverse plug.
It's done the reverse.
It's
then you might be one of the shareholders. So this is for you.
Yeah. Enjoy your hypercar.
Yeah. The ocean's beautiful.
Listening to my hyperfixation from your hypercar.
Well, look, the moon's shining off the water. We're all sitting in our hypercars staring out over the ocean. It's 3 a.m. You know, we're listening to KLF, 3 a.m. Eternal. Anyway.
I'm listening to K-Rose, which was the imaginary radio station from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas that just only played country music. I recorded it to a cassette.
Yeah?
Yeah, because if you're in the pause screen on the game, you can go to a menu that says radio, and it just plays the radio.
And you recorded that to a cassette?
Plugged a portable cassette recorder into the headphone jack on the TV.
Yeah.
And waited until the end of a song and then hit record and recorded it from the TV until I heard that song again. Realizing.
How long was that? 60 minutes, roughly?
It was both sides. No, it was one side of a 90-minute cassette.
So 45.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a decent loop, considering they have about 15 stations on.
Yeah.
GTA 5, we're talking.
No, this is on San Andreas, like PS2.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So and then I would just play that in my Walkman as I walked around school listening to fucking.
Oh, this is an old school.
Radio.
This is an old school. You didn't do this.
This
recently.
is high school.
You, considering what you've got going on with retro gaming, you could have done this last week.
Yeah, this could have been at any point in the last 15
Hopefully
years.
you're not putting your headphones on a cassette tape and walking around any high schools.
Just getting on my action
right
bus
now.
and
just going to high schools and walking around like, why is that guy with a beard walking around with
look like
a Walkman on?
I look like someone that probably repeated enough times to still be there.
You look like the woodwork teacher.
Dude, yes. I'm either woodwork teacher or some sort of fucking Mr. Deeds. Like, I need to spend a week in every year to actually inherit
Billy
it.
Madison.
Yeah, Billy Madison.
Mr. Deeds is a different film.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Same.
With John Turturro, incredible. The
Yeah.
sneakiness.
yeah.
And Big Blackfoot, remember? And he rescues Winona Ryder out of the frozen ice water. And the first thing she says when he saves her life is she's like, "Oh my God, your foot. It's disgusting." It's one of the funniest.
That's so fucking good. And it's something you'd never hear Quentin Tarantino saying. Because he loves feet.
He does love feet. I think it was in there as a reference to Tarantino, who's a big fan of Mike Myers and Adam Sandler.
Oh, okay.
Because they do a lot of the same things. A lot of their films, are, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, they're kind of the first generation of films which are made about acknowledging the existence of past films.
Yep.
You know, like Tarantino's constantly
It's like
referencing
meta.
previous films. Yeah. They're almost collages in a way, and Mike Myers is the same thing. Wayne's World, Austin Powers, they're full of references to previous films. Austin Powers is a giant parody of James Bond and all those similar things, and references to those things, and constantly referencing things.
Other stuff
Adam
outside
Sandler.
of that as well.
Outside of that as well, but specifically the way those things are presented in film. Even Wayne's World, when he cuts into the subtitled Cantonese, all that stuff, and doing in Wayne's World 2, when they have the fight scene. That's all. He was one of the first people to start doing that in a film at that level. And Adam Sandler, especially in his early work, was constantly referencing old films and old things, like when Steve Buscemi in Billy Madison, when he apologises to him for bullying him in high school. And he says, "Yeah, that's fine," and then crosses him off the people to kill list. And it's a one take, it's a one shot, it's incredible.
That's a
put
one
together.
take.
So much of that, so many parts of those films, when they go into the moments that are referencing stuff,
Yeah.
you suddenly go from being not lazily filmed, but a standard comedy filming, to a specific angle, a specific shot, pans up to the thing, slow zoom out. It's one song that's been playing the whole time, but then peaks at the exact right moment when Buscemi puts on the lipstick and all that. There's an incredible sort of nuanced... I don't like the term cinephile because it sounds gross.
Yeah.
And also, so many people who say they don't seem to know that much about a lot of movies. They seem to, anyway. I don't want to get into that whole thing.
It's the same
But
as people with beards. They're called like fucking like. It's like something followed by a file.
Yeah, I don't
want
want
to.
to.
It fucking sounds weird.
Yeah, I don't like formalising any of that stuff. But Sandler's films are full of stuff like that.
Yeah.
All the things people say about The Simpsons that aren't true about The Simpsons, about it being like amazing and clever when it's just usually pretty straightforward, whatever. That all applies to a lot of early Sandler, which people would hate to hear because everyone thinks he's stupid. But I'm a big fan of.
He's just a great actor, able to convince people that because he plays some dumb characters.
Yes, but I think people just don't understand the references. It's actually too deep for a lot of them. The whole thing with O'Doyle rules and all that stuff.
What's your take on Uncut Gems? Did you like that movie?
I have not watched it. It's on my list. I've got a list of things to watch that could... It's longer than, Here to the Moon and Back.
Yeah.
Not literally, obviously, because how on earth would that even work?
Well, it'd have to be out of Earth for that to work.
Yeah.
It reminds me of... I heard a fact that if you got every Freddo Frog ever made and put them head to toe, it would go to the moon and halfway back again.
Who told you that?
It was in a Freddo Frog pack. It was on a packet.
On a packet
that
of
had
Freddo
like
Frogs?
facts.
Oh, they said they're like facts. The moon's pretty far away.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is.
What? How far away it is?
No, I mean,
Pretty sure it's pretty far away. I heard
do you believe in the moon?
The reference I heard was that the International Space Station is if the Earth was the size of a soccer ball,
Yep.
the International Space Station is a quarter of an inch into the atmosphere, barely, close.
Yeah.
And the moon at that point is 28 feet away.
Well.
That's how far away the moon is compared to how it feels. I think we feel like it's like pretty close.
Right.
It's really far away.
Yeah. Do you think people have landed on it?
I can't go into podcasts about it. I can't go into...
I don't want to lean into the stereotype of the podcast.
I can't do a podcast talking about moon landing. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's also because...
It's been done a million times. We're saving that millionth time for the Boy Meets World podcast.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is the famous sitcom where every single joke on it had been done exactly a million times in other TV shows by the time they did it.
Right.
Which turns that into the greatest show of all time, even though it's unwatchable. Because Ben Savage is awful.
Yeah, but it's the millionth time, which makes it... It's like when you go to a website and it's like, congratulations, you're our millionth viewer.
Exactly.
If you didn't know that, it wouldn't be as
For
special.
every single joke, you're like, oh, that joke's been done on Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days.
It's an homage to every other
every
great
single
show.
thing. It's so meta. Yeah. People didn't even know there was 999,999 actual TV shows even made in the world.
Yeah.
But a lot of those jokes get recycled multiple times in different seasons, different languages.
Yeah.
Live shows. Jokes get made.
Yeah, they get made, they get recycled. In comedy.
Yeah.
I've ran multiple open mics, and every now and then you'll get...
You've run a couple.
I run a couple. There's every now and then you get someone that just rocks up and does jokes that other people have done, like people that just want to give it a go.
Yeah.
And
that's super common for people's first ever set to be a set you've seen the whole thing of before, even though it's slightly different wording.
Yeah. And I pointed it out to this guy that just kept coming along and doing that. Like, it's just like, all right.
I think I know who you're talking about,
Yeah.
but we're not going to name it.
We're going to do the Bill Burr etiquette of not naming names.
Who's Bill Burr?
Oh yeah, I accidentally mentioned his name.
Bill Burr Baggins from The Lord of the Rings, is that?
Yeah. So I mentioned it to him and said, like, that like a lot of what you're saying up there is like pub jokes and stuff that like a lot of people have probably heard before.
Yeah.
Do you know that? And he goes, yeah, but they all go around and come around. And I was just like, that's not how...
Oh, this was an older guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of a younger guy who does doing more contemporary non-pub joke, but completely all stolen and lifted nonsense. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so, and I'm just like, but his approach was just, like, that's okay.
That's what they used to do back in England in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And that's where he was from.
Yes.
Legitimately, the dude was 70.
Yeah. Which is pushing it.
It's pretty old, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's born in the 50s.
Imagine that.
Oh,
54.
painful.
1954.
Yeah, I mean, now he was 70 back then. He was 70 in 2020.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, old man.
Hope he's okay.
Oh, I don't think he is.
Yeah, I don't think so
I don't think he's okay.
Yep.
Certainly not comedically.
I've taken some of your advice, so if you're watching the YouTube channel, anyone, last time you were on this show, you said that like it would create a different atmosphere if there was more LEDs, more like coloured lighting.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I think I meant less. No, I'm kidding.
Shit. Damn. So yeah, I went out of my way to actually try and get a couple more.
It looks good.
I'm not too sure whether it's the right vibe yet, but it's in the right direction. So
no, it's you need some variation for the visual medium.
It gives the room a bit more depth, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I would at some point kill the overhead light and have
ambient,
more lamps, more ambient, more reflective light.
Yeah.
Maybe a giant mirror where it can't be seen that just doubles the light in the room essentially. Sure. A mirror all on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Probably a caged floor, no carpet. Just have like a grid, like a 2-inch grid square, and underneath just abyss.
Mm.
Like if someone fell through it, you drop your keys, they're falling forever.
Right, like a bird cage perhaps instead, where like there's a tray, so it gives a false sense of security, and then once we start recording, we pull the tray.
You pull the whole thing out.
And you don't see the end of it.
You can't see the end of it.
It's like old places in England where they built it over a well, and they ran over the kitchen and find the well, and then they put glass over it and make it look like a fucking eternal pit of darkness.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about those things. I love that they exist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
A feature
better for
the conversation starter.
Yeah. I think that'd be a good thing to do for the room, for the podcast. It'd be good for the podcast.
I think if we could do it live, and if the viewers drop below a certain amount, then it gets deeper, so that like the pit of despair gets more and more daunting.
But if it's already an eternal abyss, are we going into other dimensions at that point?
I think so. I think that like it starts off as that and eventually it just becomes a compounding black hole.
Okay, good. Yep.
Yeah, so back to the question that I had.
Yes.
I only have one.
You only had one.
I did do a quick ask around last
Are we
night.
ready to go for it? Yeah?
Which I think so.
Okay, good.
I can at least start it.
Yeah.
I did an ask around last night to see if anyone had any questions for you.
Oh.
I had one.
Who was it?
I can't we don't name names.
Oh, God. Is it someone I would or wouldn't book on my rooms when I run comedy rooms?
You would be happy they were there.
Excellent. Good. Okay.
The question is, what was the inspiration behind the super vaccinated garbage baby?
Oh, it's just an extrapolation of the idea of exposure, like kids not being, like, you can't, if you wash your hands too much, you get sick.
Yeah.
If you don't let your kids play outside, they...
Get autism.
No, they get sick. Like, it's just that whole thing of, I don't know what autism is.
Yeah. Neither. I'm reading a book at the moment.
Yeah, well, you know, a vaccination, they give you a little bit of something to get stronger.
Yeah.
It's just that, except, that to the nth degree, which is what all my jokes are.
Sure. Yeah.
Except for the ones that aren't. But it's also, the whole purpose of it is sort of show, don't tell. So instead of saying, hey, imagine you did this, it's like, let's actually do it.
Yeah.
I am the person who did it. We're doing it now, and I'm telling you about doing it. Not, imagine if someone did this, or imagine if you saw someone do that, or I saw someone do this. Be like, I am doing this right now. This just happened. And that's the point of doing the characters, I think.
Yeah.
For people who aren't aware, I do characters when I do stand-up.
Yeah.
We didn't say that earlier. I don't always have to, but I do currently.
But right
do a
now
bunch
we've
of
got
characters.
Chris Marlton.
I don't know what that means. What do you mean? I'm not doing stand-up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I have had I think early days I remember seeing some original pre-character Chris Marlton.
But a lot of it was the same stuff.
But it was similar concepts and themes, and it was just always to the nth degree anyway. So it was a natural progression to turn that into a character. I can imagine.
Well, in a lot of ways, I was being a character anyway. I was sort of not being me.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't saying I was someone else. Yeah.
I have booked you for one gig that wasn't a character piece. We had the Storytellers show 2 years ago that you were on, and that was just Chris Marlton telling a story that was crazy.
It was a real story though.
But that's the funny part. Like it was probably like if any of your things that you talk about on stage actually happened, that would be insane.
A couple of them have.
But that one actually happened. And yeah.
I mean, a lot of them haven't. Are we able to take a break so I can go to the toilet?
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for listening so far. We'll be back in a moment after this break. Please flip over the tape to side B to hear the rest of this podcast. Before the break, we spoke about a bunch of styles, techniques that you do with character comedy, all that sort of stuff. We spoke about YouTube specials, a bunch of cool things, content stuff that's coming out.
Yeah.
I have you booked now in the roast battle, the comedy roast battle.
And what date's that on?
And that one is on the 7th of November.
7th of November, excellent.
So it's not technically a roast battle because that's not my branding for the gig. It is Mortal Comedy Roast.
Yes. What are the rules again of that?
Now, the rules are the night starts off with a set from every comedian performing.
How long is the set?
5 to 10, depending on how comfortable you are, or whatever.
Emotionally comfortable?
Yeah. Physically comfortably. If you are wearing socks with no shoes, you won't make it to 10.
Can I have a sand pit on stage?
You can.
Clamshell full of sand?
Clamshell full of sand. We need to use the hyperallergenic sand, though, unfortunately, just so that we don't affect people in the audience with a cat fetish.
The idea that anyone in the audience doesn't have one is crazy.
Yeah, especially at a roast gig.
Disgusting.
So seeing someone standing in a pit of sand may set those people off. So we need to ensure everyone that it's synthetic sand.
Sure.
And we all go out. I'm emceeing the comedy part of it.
everyone goes out, does their sets, we take a break, and then Jazz Margosis, who is a MMA fight commentator,
Sure. Yep.
will come out and MC the roast section of the night.
Yep.
So it's you, Laura Johnston, and Kai Fei.
Yep.
3 comedians all roasting each other to determine best roast by the audience. So every audience member votes on who they thought won in each round. We have 3 rounds, and by the
So who will I be roasting?
so you'll be roasting both
Okay.
one at a time.
So how much stuff should I prepare?
Everybody needs to have 5 roast jokes each. So it,
5. Okay.
Yep. So 5 each. So it's just, and it's roast, rebuttal, roast, rebuttal, roast, rebuttal until you've both used your 5 jokes.
Okay.
And then the audience decides.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, at the end of the night, the winner gets elected and is the proud, gets the photo op with the Mortal Comedy Roast champion.
Okay, cool. And Laura's the defending champion.
Defending champion, and Kai was the champion the year before.
Yeah.
So this is essentially the final showdown of the champions.
Yep.
And that's why we brought in the big guns, because you get to skip straight. You know, in Mario, you could go skip a few worlds and go through to the end.
Yep.
Basically, that's what you've done.
Yes.
You're in the finals as your first time.
Fantastic.
So,
I've been in other roast battles though.
Yeah, and I've seen your roast techniques with some of the other roast gigs that I've done, and sort of bounce ideas off you.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see how it all goes.
Yeah, so am I. I've got so much on before that I need to start preparing, I guess, after I do a few other things. Speaking of, LOL season comedy at the Canberra Theatre. 10, 11, 12 at the Courtyard Studio of October. 10th, 11th, 12th of October. We have 2 gigs a night. Speaking of Laura Johnston, she's on Thursday, as is Maddie Weeks.
Yeah.
Up from Melbourne, who's just been nominated for Best Newcomer at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival this year for their show Never Gonna Die, which is classic Maddie, as you would know from when Maddie was in the Canberra scene back in the day. Friday night, we've got Andrew Hansen from The Chaser, who's very funny, does a lot of musical stuff and tours around. Mm-hmm. And the Frankie McNair will also be popping up for an hour of Tabitha Booth.
Hell yeah.
Long Fork Lady. Have you seen much Long Fork Lady material?
No.
So Frankie has a character which is kind of like a Judy Garland, kind of old school Hollywood character.
Yep.
Who just sings like a weird jazz old number about a long fork lady with this fork which is on an antenna, and it just gets longer and longer throughout this. It's a great bit.
Hell yeah.
That was from the show where Frankie won Best Newcomer at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival a couple of years back.
Right.
But then spun that off into a whole hour of just that character.
Whoa. Awesome.
So I highly recommend getting along to that, and I can tell you it has sold a lot of tickets already.
Awesome.
So if people hear this and there are still tickets available, grab them. It's a hell of a show, but that goes for all of it. And then on the Saturday, we got the Paul McDermott from the Doug Anthony All-Stars, Good News Week, everything else. Paul McDermott +1, doing some of his best work. I saw him do a bunch of this stuff at the beginning of the year down at Riverina Comedy with Dane Simpson.
Yep.
And he is just at the peak of his powers. He's so good. It's one of the reasons we got him for this. He's going to be filming it to put together in a special. He's on at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. because obviously he's going to sell out both nights. Mm-hmm. And just incredible stuff. And then little old me, 8:45 that night, filming my new special, Eggplants and Cigarettes, which is, I think, very funny stuff. Features the bit you're talking about, the super vaccinated garbage babies finally getting filmed in proper theatre fashion.
As it should.
Through the character Simon Throp, who's optimizing vaccination.
Yep.
And which also features Elon Gates, the South African rocket scientist, and Gareth Mosley.
Awesome.
In maybe one of his last long sections for a while.
Right. Okay.
But you have to kind of see what he says to figure out why.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend. We've sold a bunch of tickets for that already as well, but keen to pack that one out since I'm filming. So
filming, yeah.
anyone who can hear this and can come along. Tickets are only $25, so we've made it as affordable as we can for hiring the space. It's going to be a great... honestly, I think any people who like comedy, come along, see 6 shows, 3 nights.
Yep.
It's an incredible mini festival we've got going on halfway between the 2 Canberra comedy festivals of 24 and 25. Thank you for letting me plug that
Yeah, that's good, man.
so efficiently.
It's good to see how many cool gigs you got coming up. And if you're listening to this at time of release, you've got less than 2 weeks before those gigs.
Yeah, so that's pretty close, pretty exciting. Hopefully I'll have done a whole bunch more rehearsal. I do know the show. I did it last weekend at the Sydney Fringe, up at the Factory Theatre a couple of times.
Let's talk about that. How was that?
Oh, look, I hadn't done the full hour. I'd done the bits separately, but I hadn't done the full hour in one go. And it's always a different feeling doing it in one go to a bunch of strangers in a different city.
Yep.
And I really needed it to sort of get it in my head how it's going to feel, because you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Certainly not for the first time when you're... Because it's a bunch of... It's not leftover bits, but it's bits that I wasn't going to do at last festival and I didn't want to do next festival, but I definitely thought they were good enough to perform and get out there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would just go by the wayside. And so having it all together in one go, the first night was okay. A friend of mine came along. We chatted about it a bit on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday night, I was very happy with it.
Nice.
And I really believe in it right now. Really, I need to do a lot more rehearsal to really lock it all in, because as you know, my stuff is very wordy.
Yeah.
But, it's
so
going to be a ride. It's going to be a thing. And the artwork, you've seen the artwork. It's got everything.
You always do so well with that. Who does your artwork?
So there's a guy called Alvaro Ojeda, Alf. He works for AAO Design on Instagram.
Okay.
Is the branding, and he's actually just done the artwork for Tom Gibson's latest show, which I think sold out last night at the Sydney Fringe.
Right.
At the Factory Theatre. He's he's done work with Aidan Jones, Dane Simpson. He does incredible design work. He does all my latest posters. The Mouth Cave helicopter poster. If you haven't seen it, jump on my Instagram, look it up. It's incredible. He designed the Orange Frankenstein character.
Nice.
Which will be on my T-shirt during the Eggplants and Cigarettes show.
Hell yeah.
Which I always like to have a modified version of the merchandise from the previous year on my red T-shirt as I perform.
Everything's mod.
Everything. So Alf is incredible. Anyone looking for any art design work, he's incredibly talented. His stuff online is just so good.
Yeah, no, it's always been great artwork. It really sells the show, because it's like also the artwork is as out there as some of the content of the show. So it's nearly like a precursor to the vibe of the show.
That's the aim. The aim is to have people go, oh, I saw the show and this artwork definitely is what the show is like.
Yeah.
I want people to feel like, because a lot of people will do crazy artwork and then you get into the show and they're like, so I hate my job and I'm feeling a bit sad and I just broke up with my girlfriend. And you're like, hey, weren't you riding a unicorn on your poster?
Yeah.
Why are you talking about
all this super depressing
what are you
shit?
doing? Why didn't you just do a poster of you being depressed on the front? I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of any specific people. People they'll put a crazy AI generated image or something wild on the front cover and then just get up and do a bunch of jokes about whatever. And it's like, oh, just put your face staring into the abyss and a smile, because make the poster about what the show's about, I think, to some extent.
Yeah.
Which that's perfect though, because most comedians staring into the abyss, I've had posters like that. And yes, Mark just looked over his shoulder at a different post. No, but that's you on stage holding a microphone doing a joke. That's a different thing. It's very hard. It is hard.
It's me just staring into the abyss.
Yeah. My actual poster still has me staring into the abyss in front of that imagery.
Yeah.
I'm not integrated into the world. I'm just talking about it. Anyway.
Yeah. I get it. It's really good. So check out all those shows. That's our plug section at the end of the first half.
Yep.
Now, Chris, I have something that I need to admit to you, and to the viewers. If you're listening to this section of the podcast, I severely applaud you, because what you've done is you've listened through the first part.
Yeah.
You've seen that there was a break and you came back for the second half.
Yeah, came back by not pressing stop.
And then And then, well, you stayed.
You
instead
stayed.
of
You
stopped.
stayed.
You listened to the plugs. By this point, you may have paused it to buy tickets because you couldn't focus on how to type in your credit card
There's a
details.
link in the description, I think.
There will be. There
Oh,
will
beautiful,
be. Well, there
beautiful.
is at this point.
There is now. It's
Now,
like in Bill and Ted. It's like, oh, I did steal my dad's car keys. Yeah.
after all that,
Yeah.
this was just all a bit to admit that.
Yeah.
Which is a callback to the first episode because you talked about how you hit a kangaroo and you had to drive here in your dad's car before we recorded last time.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, wow, that was... Well, what a time that was.
but that
It's
means
still so traumatic. Anyway,
that means
I'm dead serious about that, by the way. I'm still haunted by that moment.
I remember. Now, so all this in the grand scheme of things, my thing I need to admit, the first half of this podcast
Yes.
was only using the Media Mod mic on the GoPro. We've been using mics for the first part. It's fine now, but after the break is all that we've got on these. So if
what are we
you're
going to do with that?
if you're listening to this part of the episode, you heard the first part and continued to listen, and now you're being rewarded by actually using the quality of the mics that we actually have instead of.
Oh, but
just,
we're still going to put that out.
but we're still going to put that out.
Oh, good.
So
How's that going to sound? Are you
It's-
going to be able to treat that?
I'm going to treat that. You will hear a difference between the two sound qualities between before the break and after the break.
How long did we do before the break?
24 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. 24 minutes of low quality sound is the least of people's problems. Then we got
It's.
Ukraine, Gaza, COVID, climate change.
I feel so
Hillsong
much better
Church.
for admitting it already. Because
I'm-
most people would just put that episode out. You would listen to it and you'd be like, what the fuck's up with the sound? And I'd be like, what do you think of the episode? And you'd be like, it sounds great. Or it was fine. You know, whatever.
I'd be like, why didn't it sound like we were speaking into microphones?
and then
And now it does.
now it's part of the actual episode. How
Do you
meta
know what
of
the
us.
audio is going to actually sound? I mean, you've got the media mic.
The media mic
Is
on
that
the
gonna
GoPro.
be
It's still
decent?
great.
Yeah, okay, good. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hi, GoPro.
Hey, sponsor me. I buy enough of their fucking products.
Shout out to the shareholders.
Right to the shareholders. But for those of you that have stayed through the 24 minutes of GoPro mic and the 5 minutes of plugs, you get rewarded by Rode branded
Incredible stuff.
Procasting mics for a Zoom H6 recorder.
Which is as good as you can get, to be honest.
It's the pro shit.
Yeah.
So now we spoke about the abyss in the first half. If you listened through the first half, you would have remembered that. Now we can talk about the abyss that is the content. The abyss that is the thing that brought us together outside of comedy.
Yes.
One of your early specials.
Which is assassinating world leaders. Oh, sorry. No. They were talking about something different. I misread the cue. Go on, sorry. We're not going to... No, nothing. Go.
One of your early specials was called Mephisto Waltz.
The Mephisto Waltz, yes. Yeah.
Now,
My first special.
your first special.
Check it out on YouTube. The Mephisto Waltz.
I was I collect tape. I collect cassette, VHS, and beta.
Not sticky tape.
No.
Recording media.
Some of it's sticky. You need to throw that out. It's bad for the heads.
Bads.
So I got that. I collect that. I looked through a listing and seen
We're talking old films.
old film.
Yeah.
I look through a listing and see a Betamax movie
Yeah.
with the same name.
Yes. The Mephisto Waltz, starring Alan Alda.
Not knowing the connection, I buy it anyway,
Yes.
just because I recognised the name from your first comedy special.
Yes.
And then said to you, hey, do you know about this? And you're like, yeah, I've got it on fucking Blu-ray. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I just bought it on Betamax.
Yes.
Which then unveils to a whole conversation about movie, film, and all sorts of crazy shit, which we
Yes.
kind of covered in the first half a little bit about movies. What brought up the name?
So my dad, for some reason, in the lead up to doing the special, I had originally called the show Bin Juice, based on the bit about coffee on an airplane tasting like bin juice
Yep.
for Davey Bluetooth character. And that was the show I was meant to do at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, Canberra Comedy Festival in 2020. That got cancelled because of COVID. And so I took about half of that show, added a bunch of new stuff in, and needed a name for it. That show, instead of having 3 or 4 characters, now had 7 characters. And I didn't have a name for it. And my dad was telling me about this old film where, I'm trying to think where the reference came from. It might have been, we were talking about some film. It wasn't Being John Malkovich, but it was about some film where people got possessed. Like they would kill people and steal their bodies. It might have been talking about Being John Malkovich. I can't remember what we were talking about, but it's to do with being possessed. And Mephisto
Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
No. It was about like the personality of someone being in a different person.
What was the reference in Simpsons where Homer gets Snake's hair and it like he becomes Snake?
I think it's vaguely like that. There's a lot of things. There's
I'm
a lot
thinking
of
of
body
something like
swap films.
Yeah.
that Simpsons might have been referencing. I don't think it's I don't know enough about it specifically.
The hair transplant.
But the whole the Mephisto waltz felt like, you know, obviously Mephisto is to do with Mephistopheles the devil, and the waltz is a dance, so it's like dancing with the devil. So it's a cool name. It sounds cool, but it's about being inhabited by other people or being possessed. And the idea of doing 7 characters in 1 hour felt like it was like a dance of like being possessed by 7 different characters on stage.
Yeah.
So that's where the name came from.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So it's good to come full circle. Now we were chatting about films before this as well.
Yes.
Do you remember the last movie you've seen on VHS?
I honestly cannot say what the last one I watched on VHS was.
Yeah.
Because my VHS player is not plugged in right now.
Yep.
I have got quite a good Loewe, the German brand, Loewe, just before they shut down essentially their VHS production. I bought from Duratone Hi-Fi. They had like the last one there on sale, half price.
Yeah.
I paid still $400 or $600 for it.
Hell yeah.
It wasn't as good as their really good ones.
Yeah.
But it was a good one. So it's a good one to have. It only has like a SCART out, Euro lead out. It doesn't have the, which is better quality. I think it's also maybe a Super Video out, but I needed to double check that.
Yeah.
Which is obviously higher picture quality than the yellow video cable.
Just one, from 60s.
The normal RCA.
Yeah.
And this is a big shout out to all my video heads in the audience listening to this.
Yeah.
Suddenly getting
Clean
really
your
bored.
heads.
I couldn't tell you what the last one I watched was.
Yeah.
What about you?
It was a movie with Van Damme.
Yep.
It was released the same year as Street Fighter.
Yep.
So it went under the radar, and it was called Wrong Bet.
Wrong Bet was one of those ones where he plays his own twin.
No, I've seen a movie similar called Time Cop.
He's done 3.
Yeah, so
where he plays himself and another character who is also himself.
There's that scene in Time Cop where someone comes into his apartment.
Yeah.
And he kills them by spilling water on the ground and then putting the electrifying the water while he does a full splits between the corner of the kitchen bench.
Yeah, wow.
And prevents from touching the water while the intruder gets electrocuted.
That's insane.
And the movie Wrong Bet is where he gets he's basically a hired gun by a mafia essentially, gangsters, and just like bring him into the underground.
How was the movie?
It's great.
Was it great, or was it just like fun, old school?
It was nostalgic great.
Yeah.
It was like it was basically I'd give it 6 out of 10.
Okay, because I watched one very recently with him, where it was him and his other separated at birth twin who was running illegal stuff in Hong Kong or something like that, and it was funny to watch, unironically, but it was a terrible film.
Yeah.
Like, it was genuinely the type of film you would make if you were making a joke about what films used to be like, and then making them worse than you would ever imagine they ever were. Just real terrible stuff. Just really, really hammed up. Like, someone did it dead serious. It was made dead seriously.
Yeah.
They weren't doing it to be funny at all. They're like, this is so cool. We are so cool for making this. We're making a real movie.
That's where the difference is.
Yeah.
So to finish my Van Damme trilogy,
Yeah.
I then, after watching Time Cop and Wrong Bet,
Yep.
I then watched on VHS the Street Fighter movie from
Oh,
'94.
I thought you were going to say Bloodsport.
No,
holds up. Forrest Whitaker. There you
I've
go.
seen Bloodsport. I don't have it on VHS.
You don't have it on VHS.
However, I do have Universal Soldier,
Oh.
which was another one of his.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, that one. Dolph Lundgren.
In the first one, there was two. I have both.
They're not both in. There's actually more than two.
Oh, there is. That's
And
right. I have two. I have the first.
They're not in the second one,
Yeah.
but they are. Their careers had come full circle, as you say.
Yeah.
And they were in the third one.
Mm.
So in the first one, it was like a AAA big film,
Great.
Hollywood release. Second one, straight to video release, no name actors, trash, like down a tier. Third one, down a tier again, I think. And then by the fourth one, I'm pretty sure it's the fourth one, their careers had plummeted so badly that even though the films had gotten worse and worse and worse, they were back in them,
Yep.
which is fucking brutal.
That is brutal. It's like creating an open mic, moving out of state to pursue your comedy career.
Yep.
And then the open mic goes downhill. Less and less people rock up.
Yep.
And then you move back in with your parents in the same town.
And you kill yourself.
And you go on stage.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Wait, you go to the open mic.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, the list is pretty full. We can get you in the second half, probably about 4 in. Is that okay?
Yep.
And you're like, it's all I've really got, so I'll take it.
Yep.
I don't think it was just the Universal Soldier. I think it was the universe was saying to soldier on.
Yep.
Through tough acting times.
Sure.
So the other one was Universal Soldier 1 and 2. And the unlike the one you mentioned, Street Fighter actually was leaning into how silly it was.
Yep.
There were so many scenes in that. There's one where like Bison's given like this like diabolical
M. Bison?
M. Bison just given this
Raul
like,
Julia. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Was
Adam
in the
Sandler.
was in the movie because his kids liked it, so he made it his last movie.
Yep. Crazy stuff.
One of my favorite quotes in that movie. In fact, last time you were on this show, we had a conversation about the difference between dodecahedron and dodecagon.
Really?
And
as in Dodeca Gone Girl? Starring Ben Affleck?
And we were chatting about, and then the we're talking about the sides of a coin. Within arm's reach, I was able to find a coin in the top of the cupboard over there that we could count the sides.
Yeah.
As a callback to that, on that shelf there, you can see underneath the piece of cardboard, there's 2 books. You can see the bottom one is got the black and orange text.
Yeah, I know what book that is.
Yeah. The book above that. Can you get that book for me, please? Okay. This is going to be our Is This Your Card moment. Let's see if I can do it. The foreword written in this book, Sam Tallent's Running the Line, is written by Kyle Kinane.
Yes. I've listened to the audiobook of it, and it's the least professionally produced audiobook. I don't know if they've fixed it yet, but I've never listened to an audiobook where the people narrating would repeat a line because they fucked up a line and it wasn't edited out. That must happen 30 times in that book, if not more. No, definitely. Like, it's crazy. Have you listened to the audiobook?
I have.
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy that slipped through, yeah.
Well,
Sam Talent, if you're listening to this...
He's definitely not, but out of control
to the point...
It. I believe you. I know. Out of control that it even happened. Like, how... Surely no one listened back to it.
Yeah. Or anyone that listened back to it didn't.
Didn't pay attention.
So here's a quote from the book. Second quote in there.
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life, but for me, it was a Tuesday. M. Bison, Street Fighter. Yes.
There we go. So Sam Talent loves that quote as well. and made it into his book.
Yeah, I think it's a reference. I think it's also probably a paraphrasing of a quote from something else.
Probably.
I would assume. I think it's meant to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. That's our callback for the previous episode. And we have a bunch of cool gigs. How are you feeling for the roast battle?
We're still on the VHS talk.
Oh, I want you to keep it. Oh, dude, how good is this? You keep me on the track that I laid.
This is a little gift to the podcast.
Oh, what the hell? Hell yes, dude.
For people who aren't watching the video, or for people who in the video can't see that, it's you say what it is.
So, Chris Marlton's brought over not just one but both of the Steve Seagal Under Siege box set on VHS.
Yes.
Still in the original cardboard.
Fading cardboard and then plastic.
That's amazing. This is probably one of the first ever Steve Seagal movies I ever watched was Under Siege 1.
Under Siege holds up. Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Busey, it's some incredible stuff.
There was one other movie that I liked with Steve Seagal in there, which was called The Patriot.
Yeah, I know that one.
And that was my other favourite. But you nailed it on the head. Under Siege 1 is my favourite ever Steve Seagal movie.
It's my favourite Die Hard style movie where it's one guy against the lot. Like I think it's better than Die Hard.
He's the chef.
It's
He's
so
just
good.
the chef.
He's a cook.
He's the cook.
He's a cook. It's like he's just a cook. It's like, you see those? We still got shells for those. You know, it's just, and Tommy Lee Jones like, you tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. It's payback time. And it's fucking got the guy, I can't remember his name right now, but the guy in the Pentagon, like, disaster room or whatever.
Yeah.
Who's like the guy who knows who Tommy Lee Jones is the actor who played Stingray in the most insane TV show of all time, which features the famous line that no one's going to know, where a woman walks into a bar
Neighbours.
And she says, I'm looking for a man named Stingray. He drives a Stingray, which is a type of car in America. Anyway.
Corvette?
No, I think it's just called a Stingray.
Well,
or is it a type of Corvette?
It's a Corvette Stingray.
Oh, okay.
It's based on this C3 Corvette from 1968.
Anyway, there's a TV show called Stingray.
Yeah.
Anyone who's looking for something insane, it's the most insane, and I'm not overstating this. It cannot be overhyped. If you watch the show Stingray, you will laugh hard the whole time. It's dead serious the whole time. It's out of control. I cannot emphasize it enough. Anyway, he's just that guy in the emergency room. It's just the movie's full of great people.
Yeah.
It's just a great film. Second film, who plays his daughter in that?
I honestly don't remember the second one.
It's on a train. It's set on a train.
Yeah.
It's the same thing set on a train.
Yeah.
Can you pull the thing out and read out the
do it.
cast list on the second one? Who have we got?
You know you're the reader here, Chris.
Yeah, okay. So, starring Steven Seagal. No, that's produced by. Where's the actors section? Steven Seagal. It doesn't even say. Katherine Heigl. There we go. Young Katherine Heigl. 27 Dresses, all that stuff. Directed by Jeff Murphy, who actually directed Young Guns 2 and Free Jack. And Eric Bogosian is the electronics whiz. Classic stuff. I don't believe that this one is a great movie, but I do know that it's fun to have both.
Yeah. In the box,
and they're in good. Like you recognize it when you look at it. These have not been played a lot.
No.
You know, sometimes you open a VHS box and you see them, and you're like, oh yeah, this is fine. That one's been played a bit more. This one may never have been watched.
Yeah.
You look at that, open that up, and have a look at. See how fresh that. It could be brand new. It's in good condition. The cardboard box looks like someone sat on it.
It took some of the beating.
It took all of the beating. Look at this. It's falling apart.
It took a lot of the beating.
So that's
It took all of it.
So that's the first. That's one of 3 gifts that I've brought for the podcast here today.
What?
The second one. So
that's amazing.
That's a gift from me to use. This.
Thank you very much.
And this is not the art house. This is the ironically good, but also Under Siege is really good, but it's just still a bit crazy. Retro. This next one is one of my favorite films of all time. Very rare to have on VHS, and I'm gifting this to you. It's the film Basquiat by Julian Schnabel, starring Jeffrey Wright, Gary Oldman, David Bowie, Claire Filani, Christopher Walken's in it. William Dafoe's in it.
Whoa, what a crazy lineup.
It's Dennis Hopper is in it.
Whoa.
It's the cast. Courtney Love is in it. You will never see a film with a better cast than a Julian Schnabel film. He made it on a shoestring. If you don't read the spoilers though, don't read the back. Just watch it from scratch.
I just look at the pictures.
I know, yeah. It's because Jeffrey Wright's getting quite famous now, but this was his
amazing,
first film off Broadway when he left Broadway. It's just the film. It was Julian Schnabel, the artist's first directed film. He was brought on originally as a consultant when someone else was trying to make the biopic, and he was so unhappy with how it was turning out, he decided to just make his own.
Mm.
And that's the movie I've probably watched more than any film in my life.
Really?
Yeah. It's not available to buy on iTunes or anywhere like that. There's versions up on YouTube sometimes, but that's a nice little 4:3 pan and scan. Treat yourself. That will just, you'll watch that and go, oh wow, this is, when you see how it's shot and you see the Julian Schnabel montage for the first time, you'd be like, oh, everyone in the industry saw this movie, and when this movie came out, there was a shift in how movies were made.
Yeah. And
everyone has been copying him ever since.
Have you, do you ever, from my perspective, are you jealous that someone's watching this again for the first time?
Not jealous, but excited.
Are you excited for
Excited.
someone?
It makes me want to watch it again. I what do you call it?
Contact high?
No. It's the same type of thing, probably. No, it's not that at all. It's vicarious. I vicariously, I love showing movies to people, but that one specifically, because it's a VHS, so you'll love that it's a VHS straight away.
That alone.
But that's an interesting one too, because for some reason, they've got 2 movies in there. Have a look when you open it up. Open it up, have a look.
All right, the unboxing.
It's such a niche film that there's a double slipper and there's 2 films. There's another film in there called Beautiful Thing, which comes as a bonus. Because obviously it was a 3-hour
It's a hidden
tape.
bonus.
It's a hidden bonus. I don't understand it. I've never heard of that film.
That is such a thick tape. Look, that takes up the whole inside of
it's probably a 4-hour
the
tape.
window.
It's a 4-hour tape, but it's heavy though.
It's heavy. It feels lopsided when it's round.
It's a decent pressing, obviously. Like they talk about it. It's clean though. I don't know if this. Look at the. I don't know if it's been watched.
Probably not. And
I don't think it's been watched.
I tell you what's interesting about this: the outside cover the outside cover that's on display is M rated, whereas the inside's MA. So it's also like another little hidden, like, hey,
sure, yeah.
It's like saying, because I know that M is rated 15, right?
Sure.
15 plus.
15 plus.
Whereas MA is 15 plus, but needs to be accompanied by an adult.
No. Oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought M was 15 plus, need to be accompanied by an adult. MA was, it doesn't matter. You have to be 15 regardless.
Yeah, no. So it's my point that I'm getting to. You may be right. I may be wrong.
I might be wrong. I can't remember.
When I watch a lot of VHS, I watch the intro, so I've seen that intro multiple times. Yeah. Maybe I've just glossed over it.
I think you're probably right. Anyway,
but either way, the way that I like to see this as the hidden gem, it's like what you do is you start watching this with your parents, and then once they get tired and go to bed, you get to watch the MA part.
I wonder why it's MA.
You get to watch the MA part.
Medium level coarse language, drug use, adult themes. So it's not even anything good.
Yeah, but you get to watch the MA part under the precursor that you're with your parent, but they've probably fallen to sleep at this point. It's a 4-hour film.
Yeah. It's an English film. It's from the UK. I've never heard.
It's a little thank you. It's a little thank you from the producers to just be like, hey, watch this M film with your parents. When they fall asleep, here's a little something. Here's a little drug use and adult themes for you. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm keen to hear what you think of it. I highly recommend watching it whenever you can. But that's a real treat. That's
Chris,
a real.
I appreciate either one of these gifts, let alone together.
Well, you're a VHS connoisseur, and so when I found out I was coming to the podcast, I was like, I'm gonna grab some stuff on eBay that bring along that we can discuss.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.
And the final thing.
A final thing. A more thing
is I don't really know how to explain it any more than that. It's a 4 DVD box set.
Yeah.
From my favorite director, Julio Medem, Spanish film director. It's his 4 films. One is La Ardilla Roja, or The Red Squirrel. Second is Vacas, which is cows in English. The third one is Tierra, which means earth, but we always just call it Tierra. And the fourth one is Chaotic Anna. So what I would recommend for that is probably watching Probably either Tierra or Chaotic Anna first.
Okay.
Both of the newer ones. And then after you've watched both of those, go back and watch the Red Squirrel and Varkas. Probably Varkas last.
Yep.
That was his first one. And the Red Squirrel after that. I reckon Tierra's a good one to start on. But that was a film where I was sick of movies. I was sick of movies. I was like, I'm done with movies. I was so sick of Hollywood. I hadn't been watching, even though I liked good stuff, I hadn't been seeking out good stuff. And my brother brought over an imported DVD that he'd got that he paid about $70 for because it's hard to get film at the time of Tierra. And we watched it on the projector. And I have never doubted film ever since. It brought me back into movies. This is 2009 maybe. Where I'd sort of gone through a bit of a dead patch where I wasn't loving movies, and I thought, oh wait, I'm just looking in the wrong places. It's in my top 5 as well. So
Wow.
You've got two of my top 5s, and I don't love saying top 5, but it's an easy way to recommend stuff.
Yeah.
Because
Context.
really it's like a top 70, like it's
Yeah,
absurd. But Tierra and Basquiat, but Tierra especially. But Chaotic Anna is probably as good, and when you see it, you'll be like, fucking hell. But both of them are movies where full darkness, biggest screen you can get, loud, one watch all the way through.
Yep.
Full like hit to the head immersion, and yeah,
That's amazing. Chris,
go
this
for
is
a ride.
truly amazing. Fucking great stuff. I do have a projector. So you suggest watching these on projector.
Especially those two,
Yeah.
those the Tierra and
I
Chaotic
do have a
Anna.
CRT monitor that's connected to my VCR.
Yeah, those are for the VCRs. I mean, Basquiat's great when it's in widescreen on a big screen, but
Yep.
it's cute to watch it. I first saw it on 4:3 pan and scan on a CRT back in when it first came out.
I'm going to recreate the first time you seen it.
Do it. Well, no, you'd have to keep. First time I saw it, I was changing channels and stumbled across it halfway through it. And kept going back to it and went, "This is insane," and then found out what it was.
Yeah. Well, I can just record the output and then switch between things, and then someone can watch it linearly, but still have the effect of
One
switching.
channel, yeah. Like, have you seen Inland Empire by David Lynch?
No.
No spoilers, but highly recommended, and it's that.
Yeah.
It is that.
Oh.
What you just described, he made that.
That's amazing. That's a great concept.
It introduces the concept of, when you watch a film with Angelina Jolie in it, you're not just watching the film, you know who she is. And you're aware of her interviews, you're aware of her relationships, you're aware of her Billy Bob Thornton, Brad Pitt, you're aware of all these things.
All these things.
It encapsulates all of that into a film. You've seen some interviews about behind the scenes, you've seen some other stuff, heard about their private life.
Yeah.
It puts all that in the one go. A sitcom that they were on when they were younger. All this stuff is in your head while you're watching the film. You're not just watching the movie.
Yeah.
And that's what that is.
You're watching someone you know do a movie.
And all the different things you think about while you're watching it.
Wow. Every time you're on the podcast, my mind gets a little bit more expanded. And I feel like you've done that today. This will be great. I actually have time tonight, so I'm going to make time to sit down and watch these.
Amazing.
I have some microwave popcorn. I'm not going all out on the popcorn.
Perfect. No, that's perfect.
And it's going to make a fucking night of it.
Yeah,
Dude, thanks very much for being on the show. We're going
Not
to
a
close
problem.
out
Thank
with
you
that.
for having me.
Remember to see any of Chris's specials on YouTube.
Especially the new one, Moonlight Pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the first thing on my channel. Give it a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, put a positive comment, like every other comment, reply to every other comment. Do whatever you can to push that algorithm a little bit higher so I haven't wasted my time.
That's a sad reality, but it is amazing that you've been on the show, brought some gifts. Can't recommend enough. Go check out Chris Marlton. You'll see a link in the description to his YouTube channel. To your newest special, which is on your YouTube channel.
Fantastic.
So go and check that one out. And
a
also,
link to the LOL season comedy at the Courtyard Studio at the Canberra Theatre on the 10th and the 11th and the 12th of October.
there we go. And also, finally, a link to the Mortal Comedy Roast, which will be on the 7th of November.
7th of November. And if you're interested in other comedy, I also run the Smith's Open Mic and at Smith's Alternative. And I also run the Gang Comedy at the Downer Shops this month, which is too late for this to come out for. We've got Steph Broadbridge, which is this week. And then next month we have the up-and-coming superstar Eden McGovern from Sydney, who's going to be fantastic, on the 9th of October. So you can get tickets to that at the Downer Shops as well.
Excellent. Finally, just within arm's reach, everyone's competing for the Mortal Comedy Roast Champion
Magic.
belt.
Yes. I doubt I'll win. I think my comedy is going to be a little too nice. I'm too nice.
This
gonna try and
fucking
roast
feel the
people,
weight
but-
in that, Chris.
Oh shit! It's actually pretty heavy. How much did this cost? How did you get this?
I bought this from a place that makes MMA belts. This cost me $550.
Jesus Christ!
And that's why the winner gets a photo with it and then gets a miniature version of it. And I still keep the original.
That's incredible.
Because it turned out way bigger, way heavier, and way more expensive than I initially anticipated.
Yeah, that's full on.
So yeah,
Yeah, you can't give that to people. That's just a photo with it.
I tell you what's great. Last year, one of the ring card girls carried spare Diamantes and hot glue gun in her show bag.
We have ring card girls.
Ring card girls.
How many are there going to be? Are there going to be
two.
four? Just two.
Can
Can I request two more?
y-
Is that a late request? Is that too late? Maybe for next time. You have to have the forms in officially. I've missed the deadline.
Well, no, what we can do is if you take off your glasses, it'll look like 4. So
No, they'll just be blurry.
isn't that blurry? Okay.
They'll just be blurry.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't get.
I
Double
can
vision.
give you 2 clear or 4 blurry. That's the deal I can offer.
Oh no, there won't be 4 of them though. They'll just be blurry.
Okay.
I
yeah.
don't see double. I just see worse. Yeah.
So one of the ring card girls. I said one of the gems fell off the front of the belt.
Yeah.
And I lost it. I couldn't just glue it back on. She then replaced it. I realized they were all different, so then she replaced all of them.
Oh wow.
So,
And they're real diamonds?
absolutely not. They
Wait,
are
not? Why not?
because all the money's in the weight and the metal.
Do you have plans to replace all of the Diamantes with real diamonds at some point and real gems?
If we get to it depends. It solely depends on the shareholders. So if you guys are listening out there, shareholders,
Yep.
we're looking to replace every one of these with real Diamantes.
Okay.
And
And what are you willing to do to get to that point? You want to sell some organs or piano, accordions, organs?
Yeah, so Laura
grand
Johnson's
pianos?
got some organs, which are pipe
From
organ,
the
that sort
church?
of stuff.
Yep.
From her piano playing days.
Sure.
So
Her father's a classical pianist.
she spoke about it on the podcast, and
Yeah.
he did it completely in the closet, so to speak.
Yes.
She didn't even know that he was.
Yeah, he hid it.
He hid it
He
from
hid
her.
it away. He hid his talents away.
So she'll be there as well. So thanks everyone for listening.
Oh, before we go,
Yeah.
can I ask? You were talking off mic earlier about the Alien films.
Yeah.
Have you seen Alien Romulus?
I have not.
You better go see it. You better go see it before it finishes at the cinemas.
I've heard that it's good. What do you
It's
think?
not good. It's terrible. But
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like being in space, and I like some of the elements of it. As a movie, my God, I've never seen more fan service callbacks that don't make sense in a film. Atrocious stuff. The plot doesn't make sense in terms of the universe. Nothing makes sense in it, but I like it, and I'm probably going to see it again myself before it finishes because it's a big budget sci-fi film
Yeah.
in the cinema. I reckon watch Alien Resurrection and then go along and watch that. Don't watch Prometheus.
I've seen the first 3.
Yeah, watch the 4th one. Don't watch Prometheus or Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
You'd be better off just banging your head into the wall than watching Prometheus. But
Sure.
watch Alien Resurrection and then go along and watch Alien Romulus while it's still playing.
That
It's
sounds like a
kind of
great
got
plan.
Alien 90210 vibes in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of feels like
Yeah.
I was a teenage face hugger type vibes.
Yeah.
But I would say just in the cinema. We don't get to see stuff in the cinema like that. Get along to Palace Electric. Get yourself 2 glasses of white wine and a big thing of popcorn. Treat yourself. You'll be the only person in the cinema, unless you bring
Drinking
someone with
wine.
you. Unless you bring full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop. No one goes to the movies anymore. They're a legacy item of culture right now.
Yeah.
We're all working from home. We've got 80-inch TVs for $2,000. You know, we don't own our home, but we own the TV, and it is bigger than our imaginations.
And our TV's in our imagination.
You've got a projector.
Yeah.
Why would you go to the cinema? But definitely go watch this on the biggest screen you can, because hopefully they make more Alien movies. You know, like big budget sci-fi horror that only came about accidentally as a byproduct of Jodorowsky's Dune in the 70s. What a treat for that to still be lingering in the collective consciousness, I guess. You know, H.R. Geiger, you know, the guy who designed the original Alien. You know, that stuff still existing in the world accidentally.
Yeah.
As like a giant... It's just for that alone. For it being an ongoing remnant. Because you can't... yeah. That's my final part that I wanted to mention. Because you haven't seen Alien Resurrection... But I reckon check that out and then go watch the Romulus while it's still playing. It might only have another week left.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Do it.
I reckon do it.
Okay, that's my homework.
It'll certainly... Well, you've got so much movie homework.
I've got a lot of movie homework.
Yeah. There's only 2 of these are homework.
Yeah.
And there's no rush on this, obviously. This is just a thing to have.
Yeah.
This is homework.
That's homework.
But also good homework. My God. Gary Oldman in that. Oh. Christopher Walken in that. When you see him, you'd be like, I forgot he was even in this. William Dafoe. How do you fit all those people into one movie? Benicio del Toro.
Have you seen William Dafoe's movie Inside? It came out last year.
I've heard of it. I want to see it. I have not seen it.
Amazing.
I love him. He was in At Eternity's Gate, where he plays Vincent van Gogh, written and directed by Julian Schnabel.
Okay.
His most recent film.
Yeah.
He's a gem. He's a beautiful boy. It's funny, Julian Schnabel, a little bit of a fact as well. Jeffrey Wright, who plays Jean-Michel Basquiat in this film, also plays that Felix CIA agent in all the new Bond films. You know, the black CIA guy?
Yeah.
In all the films? That's that guy.
Right.
And then the next film Julian Schnabel made, Before Night Falls, starred Javier Bardem. His first film outside of Spain. He was then in those new James Bond movie. Remember he played the blonde character with the weird jaw?
Yeah.
And then the third Julian Schnabel film, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. The lead from that was in another one. They've been using all those new Bond films, just take people from Julian Schnabel films. It's unreal.
It's come full circle.
James Bond, yeah. Anyway, I just had to sort of throw that additional film nonsense.
Hey, if you stayed till after the break, God bless you. If you stayed until the end of this show and heard all the bonus material about all of the film stuff.
Well, it's a film podcast at this point. And by film podcast, I just mean me rambling about movies.
And if you have liked all of the film talk, keep an eye out. I've got a film episode planned.
Excellent.
With a movie reviewer within the next few months. So.
Fantastic.
Yep.
No, really keen to hear what you think of these ones,
Awesome.
especially these ones.
Hey, I've got content for the next podcast, so thanks everyone for tuning in. Check out Chris Marlton.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
Peace.
Don't buy me a drink.
Just name names.
Yeah, right. Big time. Look at fucking throwing out a strip club with your floppy disk.
Yeah, you got a big beard, dude.
Shame for shit all day.
Me and my best friend, Marky Worthington.
Keep it simple. Count your money.
That they're not proud of.
Just give me $10.
Hey, right.
Click.
Did you hang up?
No, I just said click.